Long story short, I'm old and been around a long time. I keep a job. I'm not sure which or maybe it's a combination of. But the most important part and the place that I start when I introduce myself is that I'm the daughter of peanut farmers from Southwest Georgia, long way from South Iowa, that's for sure. That's where this accent comes from. It's real, it's genuine, but also my commitment, my ethic, my love of the land. I would say to Dr. Schultz-Moore, who I thought did a wonderful job, and what she's doing. Genius is in the vision for what she could see, how we can do what we do and do it better. So just hats off. I thought that was a great presentation. And the farm girl in me and the conservation in me, conservationist in me, loved that. I have had a marvelous ride in agriculture from a dirt road and a very dusty dirt road in the middle of nowhere in South Georgia to end up with some fancy titles, some cool jobs, great opportunities. And I'll go through that, but I kind of want to know who I'm talking to. So I'm going to ask you some questions first. How many of you live on a farm today? Most of you. How many grew up on a farm? The same farm you live on? You? How many of you work in agriculture off the farm as well? How many of you have an education in some related field like agribusiness, agri-communication? How many of you juggle family and farm life? How many of you think you found a balance? One, yay, thank you. Well, it's definitely good to be able to be in Iowa and to be with all of you. I have come to Iowa over the years. Anybody working in agriculture and in government and in politics comes to Iowa. We don't fly over, we stop. I remember the first time I came, I was working for the Soybean Association for ASA, and we were out looking at soybean fields, and as a daughter peanut farmers, we have sandy loam soil. Anybody know what sandy loam is? You can imagine it's sandy. Water goes right through. And we got to this soybean field, and I had never seen topsoil like this. It was so black and so rich. I ran to, this is how long ago it was, the nearest payphone to call my dad and say, "Hey, we would be rich if we had this kind of soil." He would not believe it. And of course I took pictures with film. We got them developed later to be able to share with my parents because I was just amazed at the richness of the soils here. It was fascinating. I'll never forget that trip. It was a long time ago. But it really since then has embedded in my mind the beauty and the glory that you have here in the wonderful natural resources. And I've been back many, many times for different reasons. A lot working with women in agriculture, a lot when I was deputy secretary, working with veterans, working with others. But I've always felt welcome and always enjoyed. And when I woke up this morning and it was just low humidity and Christmas in the air, I thought, yeah, I'm not in South Georgia and I'm not in D.C. And I know it's hot for y'all, but this is like, I don't know, maybe February where I'm from. I mean, just a little less in the air, it's great. So thank you, but also the warm hospitality. I also, as mentioned, work for Secretary Vilsack. I've had 4 jobs where I've reported directly to him. So let me tell you for sure, I know a lot about Iowa. He thinks and believes Iowa first. So I have enjoyed seeing it through his and Christy and his family's eyes, as well as a community, a place that has embraced them through their trials and tribulations and tough times, a community that has loved them, whether politically or not politically, on the same page, folks who rallied around them many, many times during their difficult times in their family. And he loves this place. I texted him this morning and said, I'm in Des Moines. I don't know the word to get out that I didn't tell you, but I'm in and out, so I don't have time to see Christy or the rest of the family. And he texted back, you're in God's country. Enjoy it. So I certainly will. I want to talk to you about several things today, and I want to warn you, I want to hear from you as well. So please make sure that as we go through this conversation, and I hope that's what it's like, not just a presentation or a speech or a sermon. I've been known to preach. A lot of folks say amen when I'm finished. I'll try not to do that, I promise, but I'll say I'll try. But I also want to make sure that I learn from you, because that's what keeps me vibrant. That's what keeps me ready for the next challenge, and I have it. Is making sure that I talk to people who are making a living in agriculture and know what's happening on the ground across the country. As you heard in that lengthy bio, you were not asleep, you heard that working for the Dairy Export Council, we have 10 offices around the world. So I've already been, just this year, on 6 international trips. I think I have 7 more. So I am out of the country talking about U.S. agriculture almost as much as I'm in the U.S. learning from my dairy farmers, dairy processors, and exporters. Because we are selling, I don't sell anything, let me be honest. I have an association of 117 companies that sell. I'm their trade organization that paves the way, the warm-up band in some ways, to make sure they can get in a market and they can get to a customer, get to a supplier, get to a retail outlet, whatever it might be with dairy products. But I'm selling an image of who we are, a reputation as a reliable supplier of an industry that is committed to sustainable nutrition, is a term we use a lot. Products that are good for you, but also good for the planet. And a lot about what you heard today is the modern story of U.S. agriculture, which is not fully understood around the world. Other people define us, our competitors define us, whether it's in dairy or soybeans or corn or wheat or cotton, you name it. The rest of the world likes to characterize who we are in the U.S. And a lot of things you will hear that we're big, the big farms that are bad and we're not good for the environment. So our morning's presentation gave me a lot of fuel, frankly, to be able to broaden my repertoire, frankly, when I'm talking to others about the commitment to our natural resources, to those engines that keep all of us in business in agriculture, giving back, wise use of our natural resources is what I like to say. So I think the vision, again, the genius is in the vision of making sure U.S. agriculture is better understood, better recognized for who we are today, who we're going to be tomorrow, and not this image that our competitors like to paint of who we are. I'm also going to talk a lot about women, and I'm very pleased to see 2 enlightened men in the room. You're brave and you're wise to be here, because you'll probably learn something. I've almost always worked for men. I've had wonderful men. I mentioned Tom Hillside. I've had other men. There were not a whole lot of women when I was coming up, and roles that I wanted to be in. I could not look up and see somebody that I wanted to be like, that was like me. So I had to pave my own way. I found mentors and leaders in the oil and gas industry, another very male-dominated industry, where women had broken the ground earlier. And they embraced me and helped me as a young junior staffer on Capitol Hill, working for my congressman from Southwest Georgia. And they're still my friends, they're still my mentors. When I was being confirmed for deputy secretary, 4 of the 5 were in the room still. But what I vowed going through that process, looking for people like me to mentor, is that I would never let that happen again as long as I had breath and good sense to talk. That I would make sure that other young women knew, and women of all ages knew, that they were not alone in the story. That there were others who cared and could help them and could teach them, listen to them, nurture them. So I have devoted, no matter what title I have, or who's paying my paycheck, or where I live and what I'm doing, to make sure I spend time and make it a priority to come talk to women. Often it's young women, but women of all ages and all walks across our industry. I flew in last night, and I relate got here 11 o'clock. That's midnight body time. I leave from here to fly back. I go to California tomorrow. It would have been easy to say I couldn't be here. It would have been easy to say it's not convenient. It would have been easy to say there are not many dairy farms in Iowa anymore. We heard that. It would have been a lot simpler for my body, my time away from my husband, and my job to say, let somebody else do it. That's not what women do. We stand up, we volunteer, we help, we grow, we're there for each other, we're there for other women we don't even know. And that's why I'm here. Because the heart of agriculture is in Iowa. Now, my Georgia friends are about to kick me for saying that. But I know that, having spent so much time here. You are leaders that are viewed around the country and the world for what you produce, how you produce it, your great productivity, the resources you use, how you help feed not only us, but so many others. How you nourish. We shouldn't just talk about feeding people. We're nourishing people. We're giving them the calories they need. Not empty calories, but calories that provide them nutrition. So I made a commitment a long time ago to come. And when I got close, I thought, oh, heck, another plane ride. I got home from Europe on Saturday night. I've been in my office 2 days, and I just told you what's ahead. Just this week. But I wanted to be here. I wanted to learn from you. I wanted to hear from you. I wanted to talk to you. I talked about not having a whole lot of mentors when I was early on. When I became chief of staff to a member of Congress from Georgia, 135 members of the House, you should know that number. There were less than 20 women. I was the youngest. I wasn't even 30. The people that I had to manage, those 30 people, were a lot older than me. Not necessarily all women. They were crusty and know-it-alls and jaded and tough on me. I learned very, very early some fundamental things that have carried me through my career, which again has been great. I have no complaints. It's been wonderful. The ride has been fun. Is to be myself first. I'm not one of the boys. I'm not a real girly girl either. But I'm not one of the guys. Just me. I'm confident. I was raised right. I have strong faith. Support a family and friends. Honest and I'm loyal, I'm determined and I'm committed. I'm fair. I don't care how tall you are, how short you are. I don't care the color of your skin or what your accent sounds like. I just want to work with the best people. And I got this piece of advice, which has really been good. Surround yourself with the best people and you're going to look good. So guess who I hire? In fact, I get criticized because I do it too much. I hire women. Intentionally, focused. Doesn't mean I don't have some very wonderful, strong, smart men on my leadership team and my organization. And they're the backbone in many cases. But I look for women. Why? Why would I do that? Because I know how to make decisions. On the run. They know how to multitask because they do it hourly, not daily, hourly. Because they've had to work hard to get where they are in just about every case. Because they compete with themselves more than they do with others. They're hardest on themselves. And when they say they're going to do something, they do it. Because the consequences in their home life when they don't are very dramatic. When you say I'm going to pick up a kid from school, guess what? They do. When I'm going to drive the carpool, they're going to do it. When I'm going to make brownies for the PTA, it may be at 2 a.m., but I'm going to do it. That's the kind of workforce I want. Women that can do that. People that build those teams. They make great leaders, they're nurturers, they're caring, they're great mentors, they're supporters. And they understand, some of them raise men. They raise boys. They know how to deal with men. They have husbands in many cases. They have fathers in every case. They have other men in their life. They know how to deal with that. With conflict, they de-escalate a situation instead of raising it. Think about that when you're hiring people. Think about that when you're looking for somebody to promote or to bring into your business. Think about that as you train your young men and your young women as parents. When I worked for a company, I was part of a team that got to decide who got promotions. You know, you just have a selection of groups that do that. It wasn't always me, but a couple of times it was. And I remember a case so well, and it hit me when I was driving in today, because we're not too far from where this took place. And I won't say the company because I still love it. There were 2 women on the panel, 6 men. An older gentleman who'd been with the company forever, revered leader, was retiring. And there were 2, deputies that were being considered. It was internal selection, not external, for the role. So we're going through this, process of why this person's better than the other or should get the job, and everybody made a presentation, and it was pretty much decided the gentleman was going to get the job over the females, man and woman. Probably didn't make that clear. I knew both, liked them both, thought they were good leaders, frankly. It was an even. They both had good qualities, some outweighed the others, depending on what you really wanted in the next future leader for this division, this group. And then the statement was made that the woman probably couldn't deal with the tensions and pressures and decisions that had to be made. That was a long thing to say that. Because I knew this woman, so she'll think about it. She had 3 kids. Her husband had been in a farm accident. And although he still farmed, a lot of the burden was on her and others in the family. He still made an effort. Bless his heart. It was just only so much he could do. And I had dinner at their home. Toured their farm, and she invited me to stay. Months and months before that, no reason, just a social kind of thing. I was in town overnight, part of the, Hampton Inn or the Holiday Inn, or whatever it was I was staying at that time. And I remember her preparing our meal. And she'd worked all day. We fed livestock. She'd given me a tour, fixed the guest bedroom for me, cleaned the bathroom. It was always nice. She has a baby on her hip, or not baby, but a toddler. I don't have kids, I can't think of the right words. Another kind of scooting around, playing, pulling the dog's tail, making it bark. It's just a game, but it's driving us all crazy. Fixing the dinner for a guest from out of town. I just told you what her day was like, and I don't even know about the carpool and picking up the kids and after-school activities and all the things that parents do. And the gentleman said to me, I don't think she can deal with the pressures and the tensions of this job. So I relayed that story. And I said, you tell me if you can do all that with a smile, with grace, with no resentment, making decisions on the fly, doing math homework Who can do that? Right there, I was impressed. Even the dog from fighting the kid, fixing a very nice meal, entertaining, being pleasant, that's right there, just being nice. I think she can handle it. I think she can. She didn't get the job because I was the only vote yes. She left and is now running a major organization in another state. That's when we step up for each other. That's when we look beyond what's on paper and we think about ourselves as leaders. Each one of us, somewhere in your life, you're leading something. It could be your family, it could be your business, it could be your division, it could be your church group, it could be your community group. Somewhere you're a leader. And there's a young person, a young boy, a young girl watching what you do. To seeing how you do it. To seeing what your decision processes are. How you make choices. How you struggle to find that balance. We all have that responsibility and that obligation, not only to ourselves, but to our young people. And I just encourage you not to forget as great opportunities to turn those challenges into something very positive and very worthwhile and very rewarding. I don't know of any industry in the world that is more rewarding than agriculture, than nourishing people. Whether you're doing it on your own farm or your own ranch, or you're involved in making sure a farmer gets lending or has the right seed or the right crop protection products or the right support in health care or whatever it might be, your role is critical in making sure we are nourished as people. The last story I'll tell, and then I'll hope to hear from you, is when I was being confirmed to be deputy secretary. It's a huge, biggest honor anybody who loves agriculture can have. Maybe only secretary would be next, but deputy is something that you run the organization's $153 billion budget, almost 100,000 employees around the world. You're the manager, you're the COO, if you will, of that. Huge for a little country girl. Literally, just unimaginable at times in my life. My daddy came up for my hearing. Mama stayed on the farm, you know how that is. They can't be at the same place at the same time. Mama came for my swearing in, Daddy came for my hearing. It was a trade-off. My sweet, sweet, sweet daddy. My parents were very, very young. And he was in college, and her daddy died. And my uncle, Mama's only brother, was in high school, so it was just automatic in those days that Daddy would come home to run Mama's farm, Mama's family farm. Now, I'm a little girl, I don't remember any of this. This is the tales, this is the story, this is the history. That it was up to Daddy to leave engineering school to come back to run Mama's family farm. And I can remember both my parents saying many, many times with no regret, no apology, that's just what was done. It was not like we're going to rent to a neighbor or is there another cousin. That was Daddy's obligation. That was what was expected. Very different than what I would have done. I don't know much more selfish, I'm sure. So I asked Daddy, we have this time together, just us, no other family, we're going to dinner before my hearing, we're trying not to think about what tough questions I'm going to get from the Senate Ag Committee or what might happen the next day. So I asked Daddy, do you regret that? That you didn't get to go on, finish college, and become an engineer, and build bridges and roads, and because he still loves all that kind of stuff. He likes to build and think about it. He looked at me like I had two hands. Where did this come from? You know. He just kind of shook his head, and I said, well, do you? Do you regret it? Do you have resentments? Are you sorry? And he just said, well, you know, I'm sorry your grandfather died. because he was a good man, and you and your sister would have loved him. And he would have been so proud of y'all, and our lives would have been different. Because not only did he come back to run the farm, we moved from town, 5,000 people, but it's town, to the farm. And we wouldn't, with my grandma, we probably wouldn't have done that. My grandfather had lived. I'd grown up in town with sidewalks and things like that. I said, I'm sorry your grandfather died. But Krysta, we feed people. Is there anything more rewarding or more valuable or more important? Any career, any job that can matter more? Here's my dad. Never would have, I would have thought that would have been his answer in a million years. For $1 million, I would not have thought that's what he came up with. But it has stuck with me ever since. Not to forget that gift that we have, that role we play in our communities. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big. In our country and in our world. The responsibility, that gift we have to give back. To care, to nurture, to grow. Because we're nourishing people. He said feed. I use the word nourish because I think it's more than just hand out of a meal. A supper on the table. It's a nourishment. It's life. So that's what motivates me. That's why I'm here. That's why I stay in agriculture. When other fields pay you more, working for farmers is not the way to get rich. I've learned that. The taxpayers are farmers. They love you to death, they work you hard, but they don't pay you so well. But I have made those choices over the years because of that. Because of that responsibility and obligation to do more, to give back, to take what I do have, and to use it wisely. So I told you I can preach. I can get at you. But I also want to make sure that there is time to hear from you. What's going on in your life, what's going on in agriculture, the questions you might have. You've been a very patient and attentive audience, but I don't want to wear you out. So think about questions. I'm going to get some water, and I want to hear from you, so don't be shy.